Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1846B, and today's date is April 19th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Deep State Code Words Panic in D.C., Patriots in Control. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about the threats nowadays in America, especially with the caravans bombarding the border, Venezuelans without electricity, numerous reports of human trafficking across the country, and the uncontrollable popular rise of socialism. The future of America is not promised, and either is your safety. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market? I mean, never waste batteries again. The flashlight is solar powered. It's powered by the sun. It has life-saving emergency strobe lights. You can charge your phone anywhere, anytime, with a USB port. As long as you have sunlight, you can charge your phone. Other features include compass, rope, wire cutter, solar-powered recharging, high and low beam LED modes, glass-breaking hammer, all remaining lightweight and durable. Users have reported this flashlight to be an all-in-one lifesaver and wouldn't go anywhere without it. Patriot flashlight is the perfect gift for you and your family. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance you can get yours at a discount before they sell out. Take advantage now and give you and your family the gift of night protection. Purchase the best flashlight on the market and get 20% off when you use the code X20. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, as we can see, since the Mueller report came out, the deep state, Hollywood, the mainstream media, they are panicking. Yes, these people are trying to spin it, but a lot of people are screaming and yelling. And remember what Q said, those who scream the loudest have the most to lose. And we can see right now, they're trying to figure out a way to control the narrative, but it's not going to work. And they're pointing to certain areas within the report, but guess what? It's not going to last because DECLASS brings down the House. The DECLASS will bring down everything that they're trying to do. It will stop everything in its tracks, period. But before we get into all of that stuff, let's talk about what's happening with Kim Foxx. Because we see many of her people that she's been working with, they are deciding to resign. 2 officials have resigned from their positions in the office of Cook County, Illinois. And this was because of her decision to drop charges against Jussie Smollett. And we see that Perry, Cook County's first ethics officer, initially encouraged Foxx to recuse herself from Smollett's case after learning that she had spoken about the case to members of the actor's family. And we have April Perry and director Mark Rotert. They have both tendered their resignations and will serve their last days on the job in May. And remember, Q has told us that there's still an ongoing investigation. This is being done by the FBI. People are starting to jump ship. This is going to come out in the open, and we're going to find out the truth. That again, we will see corruption in the system. Now, very interestingly, the Wall Street Journal tweeted out all the pages from Mueller's report. And it's a nice little graphic because it shows where the redactions are and how many there are. And actually, there really isn't that many. I think it's 8% of the entire report. And we know that many of the redactions are on D5, which is the avalanche of the ongoing investigations. And Trump, once he got to take a look at the report and saw what was in there, and people are saying, "Ooh, this is what Trump said," Trump is out there saying that a lot of this stuff in the report is completely fabricated. He tweeted out the following: "Statements are made about me by certain people in the Crazy Mueller report, in itself written by 18 angry Democrat Trump haters, which are fabricated and totally untrue. Watch out for people that take so-called notes when the notes never existed until needed, because I never agreed to testify. It was not necessary for me to respond to statements made in the report about me, some of which are total bullshit and only given to make the other person look good or me look bad. This was an illegally started hoax that never should have happened. And it ends." But he continued with other tweets. "The Mueller report is perhaps the single most humiliating thing that has never happened to the White House press in the history of the country. They know they lied. Many reporters lied about Russia collusion and so much more. Clapper and Brennan, all lies. If dozens of federal prosecutors spent 2 years trying to change you with a crime and found they couldn't, it would mean there wasn't any evidence you did it. And that's what happened here. That's what we just learned from the Mueller report. Anything the Russians did concerning the 2016 election was done while Obama was president. He was told about it and did nothing. Most importantly, the vote was not affected. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Breaking. Representative Nunes maintains that Rosenstein, in still redacted August 2017 scoping memo, directed Mueller to use the Clinton-funded dossier as the foundation for his investigation. The Mueller report takes 448 pages to essentially corroborate the 250-page Nunes report. And then we come to find out that Mueller had nothing a year into the investigation. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Breaking. Mueller knew he had no collusion case more than a year before the midterm elections, yet kept teasing collusion in court filings throughout the 2018 campaign. Some suggest Mueller had more Machiavellian plan, swaying the congressional elections, which he did. But it's worth remembering Robert Mueller's interview with President Trump 6 days after the FBI launched a criminal obstruction of justice investigation, and 10 months after the FBI launched the counterintelligence investigation. This is coming out of the conservative treehouse. The May 16, 2017 Mueller meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. The Mueller report shows that there never was a Trump-Russia collusion conspiracy case to begin with, and with the report showing how most of Mueller's investigative time was spent gathering evidence for an obstruction case, and with new revelations from Andrew McCabe, John Dowd, and Mueller officials overlaid on the previous struck-page text, we can now clearly reconcile the May 16, 2017 meeting between Trump, Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein, and Robert Mueller. Here's how. FBI Director James Comey was fired on Tuesday, May 9, 2017. According to his own admissions, NBC, CBS, Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe immediately began a criminal obstruction investigation the next day, Wednesday, May 10th, and he immediately enlisted Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. These McCabe statements line up with the text messages conversations between FBI lawyer Lisa Page and FBI agent Peter Strzok. Same dates, 5/9 and 5/10. And it now appears that important redaction is either Trump or POTUS. Here's the tweet. We need to lock in redacted in a formal chargeable way soon. Let's fill this in. We need to lock in Trump in a formal chargeable way soon. It all fits. Everything Mueller and Rod Rosenstein were doing in the late 2017 and through 2018 was intended to drag out the Russian conspiracy narrative as long as possible, even though there was no actual Trump-Russia investigation take place. It was always the obstruction investigation that could lead to the desired result by Mueller's team of taking down Trump through evidence that would help Pelosi and Nadler achieve impeachment. The obstruction case was really what they were after. That was the entirety of the case. That's what they were trying to make from May 2017 until March 2019. They knew they had nothing with Russian collusion. They knew that Nancy Pelosi, Nadler, Schiff, and the rest, they were going for impeachment. So they spent their entire time trying to prove obstruction, because this is all they had. That was the whole case. Remember that. Now, remember the entire report. Yesterday, we discussed how a lot of this report mentioned a lot about Clinton, her email, how it was Russia who was really involved. I believe this report was designed not for Russian collusion with Trump, but to exonerate Clinton and to get Trump under obstruction charges. Now, something very interesting, because Big League Politics, they were able to find the man that Mueller reported that he could not locate. This is Alexei Raisin. Now, this is very strange, because this is the Ukrainian who tried to sell supposed Hillary Clinton opposition research to Roger Stone alongside a Russian using a fake name, Henry Greenberg. Now, Big League Politics, they located Alexei Raisin and spoke to him by phone. Raisin did not know that he was in the Mueller report. When told that he appeared in the report, Raisin said, "Wow, quite interesting." He declined to be interviewed or to state whether or not Mueller ever contacted him. Now, it really wasn't in the best interest for Mueller to find these people, just like he never thought the Russian company Concord would come to America to defend itself. Because remember, they knew they couldn't get anything on Trump with Russian collusion. And they were just naming Russian companies, Russian individuals to make it look really great. And they were indicting people for lying because they knew that this would look great while they tried to get him on obstruction charges. So this investigation had nothing to do with Russian collusion. It was a blockade for the corrupt government. It was used to exonerate Clinton and point the finger at Russia and WikiLeaks to show that those individuals are bad. They were using it to prove obstruction because they knew there was no collusion. Now, the mainstream media and the deep state, they are in a panic like we've never seen before. The entire narrative just went up in smoke, and now we are seeing the mainstream media and the same players trying to spin the Mueller report, and others are just screaming very loudly. Why are all these people so upset? Isn't it a good thing that an American president didn't collude with Russia? They never really cared about that. They could care less about that. They're screaming and yelling. They're panicking because they're trying to protect themselves. They're worried about them because they know what's coming. Now look what all these players are doing. We have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is tweeting out and she is calling for a new investigation. She tweeted out the following: Mueller's report is clear in pointing to Congress' responsibility in investigating obstruction of justice by the president. If you notice, they're all using obstruction. It is our job as outlined in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5 of the U.S. Constitution. As such, I'll be signing onto Rashida Tlaib's impeachment resolution. While I understand the political reality of the Senate, plus election considerations upon reading this Department of Justice report, which explicitly names Congress in determining obstruction, I cannot see a reason for us to abdicate from our constitutionally mandated responsibility to investigate. Many know I take no pleasure in discussion of impeachment. I didn't campaign on it, and I really discuss it unprompted. We all prefer working on our priorities, pushing Medicare for all, tackling student loans, and a Green New Deal. But the report squarely puts this on our doorstep. Now, of course, what they're trying to do is they're trying to start new investigations. Q told us that this was going to happen, that they were going to push new investigations. Sarah Carter and Fox News legal advisor Greg Jarrett joined Sean Hannity on Thursday night following the release of the Mueller report. Sarah Carter told Hannity that her sources are telling her the deep state officials in the Department of Justice and FBI are turning on each other. They're turning on each other. When do birds sing? In the spring. Let's go back to post 2261. FISA equals start. FISA brings down the house. When do birds sing? In the spring. Take a listen to Sarah Carter and Hannity.
All right, let me ask Greg and Sarah simultaneously. We're just short on time, obviously, for tonight. I keep talking about an avalanche and that there are going to be indictments and that all these people missed the biggest abuse of power story in history. Sarah, we'll start with you, then we'll ask Greg. What's coming?
There will be indictments. It will be an avalanche. And according to the sources that I was speaking with just today, people are already turning on each other. So we're going to see people, senior officials within the FBI, people within the DOJ that are going to try to throw their colleagues under the bus just to save themselves. And I think that they need to be very concerned now, very concerned about what they did and about weaponizing, our intelligence community and law enforcement.
Just FISA abuse alone, those that rigged the Hillary investigation alone, those that tried to undo a duly elected president alone, there's serious problems, not for rank and file FBI and intelligence. The 99.9% are good people.
And as you can see, indictments are coming, the avalanche is coming, and birds are going to sing. Now, if you look at the individuals in Hollywood, they are panicking like there's no tomorrow. We have Rosie O'Donnell. She said Trump is effed. We have John Favreau, Bottom line, the president tried to cheat in order to win the election and then repeatedly tried to end the investigation into his actions. We have Patricia Arquette. I wish a reporter would have asked Barr if Mueller finished his investigation unimpeded or if he was asked by anyone to conclude it or if funding was stopped in any way. We have Alyssa Milano. You can read the Mueller report and decide for yourself if there was collusion or obstruction of justice. We had Rob Reiner, prima facie, Trump is guilty as hell. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. Why are all these people screaming and yelling, and what are they so nervous about? Why are they so focused on getting Trump on obstruction now? I wonder why all these people are so nervous. Maybe it has to do with Epstein Island and other things like that. Maybe they're nervous that they will be found out. Now, Adam Schiff, he said the following: whether these acts are criminal or not, whether the obstruction of justice was criminal or not, or whether these contacts were sufficiently illicit, they are unquestionably dishonest, unethical, immoral, and unpatriotic. So it doesn't matter if it shows that Trump didn't collude with Russia, that there was no obstruction. It doesn't matter to these people. No matter what happens, they're going to continue on. Why? Because they're protecting themselves. Let's move on to post 1871. Q gives us like a little map within the post, and it says MOS, and it points to alt plus U.S. media, U.S. politicians. Those who scream the loudest find the connections, 1 to 1 to 1. Primary, affiliate A, affiliate B, affiliate C, marching to the same beat. Coincidence? Logical thinking. Post 2087. Maxine Waters, California ranking member. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear. Hide. Maxine Waters is out there saying, impeach, impeach, impeach. 2576. Those with the most to lose are the loudest. Those who knowingly broke the law in coordinated effort, treason, are the most vocal. Crimes against humanity. Look at all these individuals that are screaming and yelling. They have the most to lose. They don't want people to find out who they really are, what they really did, and what they're guilty of. That's their biggest fear. Remember, Trump is an outsider. He doesn't care about these people and the good old guy network. He's following the rule of law and getting rid of the swamp. Now, Clapper is out there, and he's saying that if active collusion wasn't proven, I think we have a case of passive collusion. I mean, they're really trying to find a way to keep this going because they have nothing else. Maggie Haberman, who never got off the train when Q gave her a choice, tweeted out the following: the White House is defined by a president who lies to the public and his own staff, then tries to get his aides to lie for him. Now, with this, think mirror. Just like the deep state, the central bank, everything these people are saying is what they have done. They lied to the public. They made up sources, had other people lie for them. They know what's coming, but liars only cover up their lies with more lies. They can never tell the truth because if they do, the entire house comes down. Let's review a little bit. Colluded with Russia, Clinton, Mueller, Comey, Obama, Uranium One. Obstructed justice, Comey, changing the wording and protecting Hillary Clinton. Making the decision if this is a case that we can try. That's not his decision. Clinton deleting emails, bleaching the information on the server. DNC hack blamed on Russia. No FBI investigation to confirm. Spying by using illegal FISA warrants. Really? So this is Trump's fault. He's obstructing. Or is it the other way around? Now, Giuliani explains what the prosecutor's job is. It's not to pardon. It's not to say you're exonerated. It's not to say a person is innocent. And these are the words that Giuliani has issues with. If we had a confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. He said, when the hell did a prosecutor ever try to figure out if you didn't do it? Prosecutors have to figure out, did you do it? That turns around 2,000 years of Roman, English, and American law. The presumption of innocence. He doesn't have to prove his innocence. He doesn't have to prove I didn't do it. When can you prove a negative? No. The prosecutor's job is to gather all the evidence to show that this person is guilty of what they're saying he's guilty of. If they can't do that, by default, that person is innocent. What everyone else is saying is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Nadler went ahead and subpoenaed the unredacted report, and he wants this report. Now, it's probably not what we think here. Why do you think that Nadler wants the unredacted report? I believe that these individuals know that they are being investigated, and they want to know if their names are in this report. Because as of right now, they're blind. Actually, Representative Doug Collins tweeted out the following. Yesterday, Chairman Nadler held a press conference to admit he'd only skimmed the report, now less than 24 hours after it released. He's rushing to subpoena material that, by law, can't be shared outside at the Justice Department. He's rushing because they want to know who is being targeted. They're panicking. There's panic in D.C. Now, it's being reported that Trump gave South Korean President Moon Jae-in a message for North Korean Kim Jong-un when the two leaders met at the White House. And again, he corresponds with Kim Jong-un with letters, which allows him to stay out of the system, where the intelligence organizations can't intercept what he's talking about, and it keeps them very blind. Out in Libya, Trump called Khalifa Haftar and discussed ongoing counterterrorism efforts and the need to achieve peace and stability in Libya, and recognized Field Marshal Haftar's significant role in fighting terrorism and securing Libya's oil resources, and the two discussed a shared vision for Libya's transition to a stable, democratic political system. Remember, when Obama was in office, they placed the government in Libya. The people didn't get to vote. They came in and said, listen, this is your new government. You're going to accept this. Haftar right now is fighting for the people. And guess what? He's winning. That UN government that they placed in Libya, that's going to be gone very soon. Let's go into Q's post. Q has been posting again. This is 3313. We're going to go back to this one. This was a picture of a beach with piers sticking out. The file name was LBP, which we thought was Long Beach Port. And Annans believe they narrowed down where this pic was taken, and they're saying it's Seal Beach, which is near the port of Long Beach, which is in the district of Adam Schiff. Very interesting. Let's move on to post 3315. Q says, Rod's departure next. Now, Q did tell us that Rod Rosenstein would be removed when he was not needed anymore. If we go to post 2676, it says DECLASS, Rod Rosenstein, complete removal. OIG release of findings. How are they preparing to combat narrative equals vital. Let's move on to post 3316. Q put out an article from Fox News. Actually, it's a radio show, and John Dowd was on there talking about Rod Rosenstein, how he has to answer for appointing Rob Mueller as special counsel. And Q went on to say, page 11, this is all in brackets, bold, previously class scope Rod Rosenstein to Mueller. And Rod Rosenstein and Mueller, they're both in brackets, bold, capital letters. The scope memo highlighted within Mueller report confirms the dossier was the tool used by Rod Rosenstein to justify special counsel and was the primary vehicle to which Rod Rosenstein tasked Mueller. If the dossier was known to be unverified and fake, how then was an investigation started to begin with? At what point did Mueller determine there was no collusion? 18 months ago. Was the investigation kept ongoing as a talking point to rig the midterm elections? Yes. Was the investigation kept ongoing to retain the blockade to essentially restrict POTUS from unmasking and informing the public as to the truth about what really happened? Absolutely. Was the investigation kept ongoing to protect those who knowingly committed treason and sedition? Yeah. No blockade equals game over. Q. And you can see these people, they're nervous, they're afraid, they don't know what to do. Nadler wants to see what names are written in this report because most of these individuals, they're corrupt. Most of these individuals are traitors. Most of these individuals had committed treason, and they're sweating right now. They don't know what to do. Now, something very interesting, and we talked about James Comey's tweets before, and going back to March 24th, 2019, James Comey put out a tweet, and it was a picture of a forest, him looking up at the trees, saying so many questions. Now, this was very interesting because everyone was looking at this saying, why is he in the forest? Why is he saying so many questions? Well, so many questions because I don't think everything turned out the way they thought it was going to turn out. They had a completely different plan. But what's very interesting about this, and the New York Times wrote an article about Notre Dame, and they said the attic of Notre Dame was known as the forest. So here we have Comey in a forest on March 24th, and the attic, which was on fire, was known as the forest. Was this a code to have something done in France? It's starting to look that way. And this is the title of the New York Times article. Notre Dame attic was known as the forest, and it burned like one. Then Comey tweeted out another picture today, April 19th, of the forest floor and little trees that are growing out of the ground. And he wrote, so many answers. Let's go back to post 992. Q says, marker. Everything is planned. Years, message, unity, awakening, we fight. Lexington, Concord. Today is the Battle of Lexington and Concord. Stay together, Q. So we can see that Q is telling us that this is a marker. Look at April 19th. It's an important date. And we know that the Mueller report came out on the 18th. And we know that the DECLASS is coming out next. Will it be released this weekend? We'll have to wait and see. And even if it isn't, it doesn't really mean anything. It just means that they picked a different time. This might have been used for disinformation, to get the deep state to use their ammunition. But we know we're headed into the next phase. We know that once the DECLASS comes out, we're going to start to see a lot of things happen. And once the OIG report comes out and all the sealed indictments become unsealed and the placeholders start to fill up, everything will change. And Q once told us the difference between a patriot versus a traitor. And let me just read those definitions once again. A patriot, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. A person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. A traitor, a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. A person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. And that's where we are now. We have patriots and we have traitors. The traitors are about to be exposed. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.